Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, the beginning of the end of religions. And tonight, an open hangout as appreciation for those subscribers. So I showed this to my social media. And of course, if you're a subscriber, you're going to get notification. But I didn't email absolutely everyone I know. I just didn't do that. To get the show started off, because I'm so terrible at just winging it and talking. I don't like to hear myself talk, actually. I need to think about something else. So I am going to share my screen. And I'm going to be reviewing a conversation that I had with Eric Murphy. So this appeared on Eric Murphy's channel, and at first I thought it was pretty honest.
Hey everybody, welcome back. And I know the channel has been gone for a little while, but I am so excited to be here.
I'm not sure.
I actually did a guest appearance on a show, Math Pig.
I am not sure that I did share audio, and I wouldn't know unless you guys said looks like it was not on. Let me start that again. Peace and respect, Orge 343. Thank you so much. It's been a slow growth. I'm going to be, I don't know if you know, do you know who Eric Murphy is? I did a show with them some time ago. It doesn't get very many views. But I thought the talk went really well at first. And then it got very bad very quickly when he couldn't find a way to find a logical hole in my view. So I'm going to be reviewing that. Not allowed? What does that mean?
Hey everybody, welcome back. And I know the channel has been gone for a little while, but I am so excited to be here. So I actually did a guest appearance on a show, Math Pig. And while I was talking to the host of that show, he introduced me to the person that I'm going to introduce to you. His name's Richard Madsen. Richard, how are you doing today?
I'm better than I deserve, boss. Peace and respect to you all. Thank you so much for letting me come on your show, man. Absolutely. I mean, I really appreciate that. And that was really sweet of Math Pig.
It really was. I you know, those are the people though that I want to talk to. You know, somebody, if people in the community are having positive discussions and engagements, then I want to elevate that discourse. And I absolutely want to elevate the people who, even though we don't agree, are able to have a respectful, caring, empathetic discussion where the arguments themselves stand or fall on their own merits and not whether or not somebody had a mic drop.
It's buffering because I advanced it. Just so you know that. Perhaps I advanced it too far and it's going to mess it up. Gosh, I hope not. And panspermia, but intelligently guided panspermia, not some asteroid, something, whatever.
Okay, so now we've got a layer here.
Right.
So you think that it's the case that we're here because of aliens, and the aliens are there because of an intelligent creator had them do that? Like, But by intelligent designer, do you mean like that their regional government told them to go do it, or do you mean they have a deity that instructed them? I'm
okay.
a little
So
lost.
I think deity is, or godhood is a matter of lineage, just being the eldest, most knowledgeable, most powerful. I think that's what makes something a god.
Okay,
it's just older than, it's just the first of its kind, and kinds can be made. Okay.
So would that make me
what I see I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm an oldest brother. Does that make me a god?
No, it makes you the oldest brother.
Okay.
If you were the eldest brother everywhere, you would be God.
This is an interesting definition.
Okay, so I in every spiritual story that I've inspected, and every time I go and inspect a new one, I find the same story of the creation of God. Now, Christians aren't willing to admit that within the Bible, but in the context that I've accepted that's consistent and actually addresses. Gosh.
Peace and respect also, Mac.
It takes on. It
solves. Okay. Takes away the contextual conflicts. They're just not there. It's just the way that it's being read that caused those conflicts. But there is a reading frame where those conflicts don't exist.
Okay.
Without a lot of unnecessary assumptions, without a lot of extra complexity, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. It just doesn't require all of that.
So I do want to put a pin in that, because I think that determining how you came to read holy texts to be partially true or true with a specific viewpoint, well, I think that'd be an interesting conversation. I want to make sure that we flesh out the...
Mac, this is actually a very old show. This is not live right now. I'm reviewing it because Eric Murphy becomes dishonest when he gets into a pinch.
Basis here. That way we're kind of standing on the same page.
I'm counting on your logic. I'm not educated.
Oh, dude, I'm an autodidact. I taught myself. So,
and you tell people this in public. So that's interesting. No, yeah, it's good to admit things that are embarrassing because that shows that you're being honest.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of or embarrassed about.
Making jokes, Eric.
I got you.
It's a joke.
Sorry, I'm passionate about this. This is my jam. This is what I love. So here's my concern. My concern right now is Richard an atheist, and he has just redefined godhood to be a different definition of the aliens that put us here. You know, are you an atheist?
It's interesting.
Just redefined God.
I don't know. Define what an atheist is.
Sure. An atheist rejects the assertion that a God exists.
Okay, I accept the assertion that a God exists.
And the interesting thing there is, and the longer that I've done this, the more I've realized that it is way more interesting to find out what the person you're talking to means when they say the word God.
The king, or whatever they want to call that leadership position person.
You can see that Eric was being pretty honest at first, and being open-minded, and it was pretty good talk at first.
Had a daughter who found the basket with the baby in it and thought it was cute and shouldn't have kept it, but did. But then somehow it, and I think this is the reason it was rejected as a group of slave class, and why most of them were slaughtered and only literally one escaped, was because it was too darn smart. So they bring it into the household of the king, and they raise it up in government and technology, and I probably just kind of a weird pet at first, sort of a thing. But then it kind of was way too smart to just be a pet. So they actually brought it up in governance and technology and etc.
That's definitely a unique take on the Moses story.
Right, but I'd never had to use the word Moses.
No, but
but you're right.
You gotta know. How did you get to the point where you think that that is a true thing that happened?
You got about 30 hours.
Hit me with the highlights. Hit me with your best. How do you know that that's a thing that happened?
Hit me with the highlights.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So I accept the ideas universally because I see them universally. That is, it's consistency. Okay.
Okay. Like what?
Well, it's Gilgamesh. It's Moses. It's shoot. I'm not good at Hindu names.
It's okay.
Anyway, it's one of the higher Hindu gods. You just see it again and again and again and again. And everywhere I look, I find the story. And I find all the stories everywhere. It just takes us a reading frame. Anyway, okay, so I have universality, right? I have consistency. Within each work. I have... Go ahead.
Sure. So let's take that claim and let's bring up another possibility. And that other possibility is that early tribes of people who were unable to explain the world around them told stories. And the stories that they told about those things that they don't understand were passed down largely not just because they helped explain things that they don't know, but maybe also to help teach lessons and things like that, eventually codifying those things and traveling with them along trade routes. And as we spread out throughout this planet, some of them worked their way that way. Others are just more universals, right? Flooding is a thing that happens. So it's not uncommon to see flood stories in native traditions that have maybe not even ever experienced each other. But the fact that flooding is a thing that happens, fires and the rise and fall of groups and leadership, those things are so broadly found that it's understandable to see, those similarities. How did you come to the point where you think that it is more likely that these cultures poorly recorded this story that you've given versus those cultures creating stories to describe themselves? They're inherently tied to their identity, and I don't mean that in a cruel and crass way. I think that stories are important.
No, it's just the truth of it.
Yeah, and
right on.
And those are very, very important to identity. That doesn't make them true, right? In the same way, I'll give you an awesome example. You can be gaslit into believing something about yourself that's not true, right? You can have a partner that...
I have to say that this is extremely tedious. When someone explains something to me 4 different ways, I really attentively listen to people when they talk. And anything that you say to me ever, I'm going to hear the first time. And I'm not shy and I'm not proud. If I don't understand what you're saying, I'm going to ask clarifying questions. But certainly I didn't need him to say it 4 different ways. Maybe he's just thinking about the audience.
I can say, oh, Richard is just so clumsy, and he just forgets everything.
I've seen that happen to people. It's terrible.
It is. And you can believe that it's true about yourself and that you can actually wrap that into your identity. Is it true? No. Do you believe it? Yes. Is that important?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do we have these cultures that create these stories about themselves? Absolutely. That doesn't make those stories true.
Right.
So how did you come to the conclusion that that story is true versus it being a myth that has been perpetuated by a culture?
The entire way that you're looking at the text, and yes, it's true that societies that don't agree on certain things are not societies. And yes, it increases survivability and and also prosperity within a tribe to agree on principal matters.
Sure.
So of course you're right; those things are useful. I'm not saying those things aren't useful. I'm saying that you've adopted a Christian reading text or reading frame of the text that's making you say that, and I don't even adopt that reading frame, that I have to contest that within the view that I have. But instead, what I think the stories are is using sometimes real and sometimes fabricated history, sometimes to actual animals and sometimes fabricated imaginary animals, to express to us something from what we can see or at least imagine, to explain something that has not yet happened.
Prophecy.
So I don't think they have historical value, but they are animistic, describing a different paradigm.
So I kind of...
it's sort of not a question to me.
I want to try...
It's not the right thing to ask.
Okay. I want to try and rephrase this in a way that is a little easier to chew on.
Okay.
And there are a couple of things that you brought up that are kind of fuzzy for me.
Okay.
One of those is things that have not yet happened.
Right, prophecy.
Right, prophecy. So do you believe that there are stories being used as prophecy that... Do you believe in prophecy? Let's start there.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Could you give me an example?
Things that haven't happened yet. And if they never happen, they're not prophecy. It's just a bunch of made up stuff.
Okay. Would you agree that if it is sufficiently vague, that we can just wait until something like that happens, that it could just be an eventuality, right? If I
wouldn't even say it had to be all that vague. I mean, I've seen religious people take things that aren't all that vague, twist it to where they want it, make it fit the current situation, and claim the prophecy fulfilled.
Well, and in that, I would say that is that's even easier to dismiss. But let's say I were to write down that there's going to be a market collapse, and I just wait, and eventually, when there is a market collapse, then I go, see, my prophecy was true.
Right.
I didn't have any.
Which is why prophecies would be required to absolutely unable for us to perform them, or for them to happen naturally.
Okay.
By definition, they have to be outside of our ability range and outside of the range of the naturalistic environment that is around us.
Okay.
It would have to be caused. It would have to be caused, in other words.
So if you believe in prophecy,
yes,
then do you have any examples of prophecy?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of examples?
Do you want me to run through the story of end times with you? Is that what you mean? Or do you want me to find something that we can't have done that has not yet happened but is going to happen? Because I have one of those.
Well, so the former, I think, leads to a different question, but the latter, I think, is pure speculation. If we're talking about something that hasn't happened yet, then...
No, it's definitely going to happen. We don't have a choice now.
Well, I think we... Let me back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's put a pin in the thing that you think is going to happen and start with things that have been predicted, that were impossible to be predicted, that have happened, which backs up your assertion that prophecies are things that are true, or things that happen.
But we're going to have to resort to things very vague to fulfill that.
Okay. So if we already agreed if it's sufficiently vague, then it's not very useful. So if
absolutely.
If the only prophecies that you can give me as an example are sufficiently vague, then why are you convinced?
Well, since you haven't heard it, how do you know it's sufficiently vague?
You said vague, and so I was just bouncing.
No. I was commenting on something you said.
Oh, okay.
I did not say what I have is vague, not at all.
Could you give me the prophecy? Let's look at it.
Sure. Okay. So under the view, and I'll just give you a real quick overview. Under the view that these things are for those who don't believe, because believers are already okay according to their own religion. Okay.
Sure.
So The kind of thing that a non-believer would assign value to is something they could sense with their own senses and experience themselves. So the requirement is that these be physical things that can be sensed by the individual from their perspective using relatively normal senses, not needing any extra perception whatsoever. So by that definition, physical. And what I see described are physical things, because that's what we needed, okay? So I don't think there's any magic involved in it, actually, as a lot of people might profess. Okay, so in order that these things be physical and not kill us, they have to be within our sight, but not directly on our person, for instance. If the prophecy was a 57-pound boulder dropping.
Peace and respect, Brother Naka.
Hey, don't let me interrupt you. Everything went quiet, and I was like, "Did I mess everything up?" Go ahead. Don't let me interrupt.
I paused the video because this is an old video, and I just wanted something to fill time until people started noticing the stream and maybe came in like yourself. So this wasn't the point of the stream at all. It was just something so I had something to talk about, something to show, because I find me really boring. Knock, you're muted if you're speaking.
Yeah, sorry. I'm here, but I'm here until my trolls show up. So once they show up, I'm gone.
What trolls?
Oh, Cerberus, Hex, and all of them. Like Midnight Sparkles. Midnight Sparkles is probably watching, and the shit will commence. So,
well, I'd actually rather cater to you.
Yeah, well,
in all honesty,
in all honesty, so I've been tackling this inwardly for a while, Richard, and you can help me with it.
Go ahead, talk about it.
So, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any gods. I don't believe in man-made gods, especially, right? So, yeah. and by the human conception of God, I definitely don't believe in any god. But
okay.
But there's a big but here. So when I think about my old Native American religion, the universal Lakota religion that I used to worship,
yes.
And I think about how, those people, they would look at the earth like it's a living thing, and they would look at the solar system like it's a living thing. And then, I start putting that into the universal framework of mind that we are in the modern age. And I'm like, well, maybe the universe is a living thing, right? And if that universe is a living thing, could that not be a god? And could that not be a god within the context of my last religion that I used to worship, which would have been the Lakota Universalist religion? So right. I'm tackling, am I really truly an atheist, or am I a deist? Am I a deist now? Right.
Let me tell you, first of all, I respect your honesty and your trust of me. That's the first thing I'd like to say about that.
Yeah. Okay? You're the first person I'm really talking to about this, Richard. So,
well, that's a privilege. There's no doubt that's a privilege, Knock. Okay. So some people feel that it is true. There is physical reality, and there couldn't be something immaterial in the way of something supernatural. And I fully agree with this. I don't think anything supernatural is necessary, and certainly not it's believable, certainly not provable, right? But that doesn't make me an agnostic or an atheist or an anti-theist, because I believe what's being described in animism, which you may not heard me say, I believe that the Bible is cryptic, prophetic animism. I know CPA is already taken, but it just turns out to be CPA. and that's too bad. But that is exactly what meant. I'm not saying yours because I don't know. That's exactly what a lot of ancient tribal tradition is doing. I mean, you don't actually think that owls are wise.
No,
it's a bird.
Yeah, and I've been described I have bear spirit. It's what makes me so emotional. It's what makes me
what does that mean?
But,
Okay,
but
it's
yeah,
emotional.
I don't believe in bear spirit. I think that I have OCD, and if anything triggers that OCD, then I have a reaction to it. You know.
Okay, so you wear your heart out on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Which is basically honesty in the way that you can't be dishonest.
But yeah, so and let me clarify, Richard, because like my thoughts, and I saw Mac the Human Mac the Human, their comment, yes, a universe with a conscience would be God. I'm not necessarily talking about a conscience, unless we're going to get really deep into the nuance of what a conscience could be. I'm more so talking about nature, right? Like so if nature, like if universe has a nature, and say like this living planet that we live on, the Earth, it falls within the confines of that nature, and then however X amount of other planets are living planets, and they fall within the confines of that nature. Wouldn't that nature then be this universal concept? Like I'm saying, like it's not any concept of a God that human beings would hold to. Like if human beings don't look at nature and they say, oh, that's a God. But that's kind of my argument here, is like the nature would be the God, and therefore am I truly an atheist or am I a deist? Because I've honestly been struggling with this for a couple months because I don't know anymore.
Okay. Well, again, I have to say you're brave. Okay. For even talking about something like this in public at all, even as small as my channel is. Okay. So I to me, and you may be different. To me, what matters is family. And you're part of my extended family, and I recognize that you're a Homo sapien sapien. You're a human being.
I agree with that. Like you're one of the few people that I met here online that I consider like we're like tight. Like we've never met in real life, but it feels like we've met in real life.
Yeah. I feel like it's something like that. I mean, I didn't get to grow up with you, but I think I would have liked you as a sibling as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so something like that. Okay, but that's what is important to me is human beings. Okay, so I am tribal and prejudiced in that way. I'm automatically prejudiced against every other kind of animal anywhere, to be honest about it. Okay, and what I respect is my kind, and yeah, that's extremely biased. And I respect family. That is to say, lineage. Okay, just like my dad could be the worst piece of shit of a human being, I wouldn't disclaim him as my dad, because factually, that's my dad, this piece of crap person. And by the way, he was. But I blame that on Vietnam and other such stuff. But he still claims me as his son, and we're seriously, literally blood. Here's an interesting observation.
Mm-hmm.
You can select any 30 randomly selected German Shepherds, which is a well overbred breed because about the 80s, right? Where everybody wanted a freaking German Shepherd. They made factories that did nothing but German Shepherds. So they're really overbred. There is less genetic diversity in human beings worldwide than there is in 30 randomly selected German Shepherds. That's how close we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think they look the same, when they look at us, we really look the same.
Well, and that kind of falls into like the Lakota religion that I'm talking about, because this universal religion, it sees one of their main slogans is "We are all related," and it's not just like it applies to human beings, that we are all related. We're all a part of this human family.
But not how the hell did they know
it applies to the wing nation. It applies to the four-legged nation. It applies to the plant nation and the tree nation as well.
That's true, though, isn't it?
And we're all related to everything. So like when Arn Ra makes this like side comment about how rocks are atheists. And people are going at him, and like I've had people tell me like, well, no, Arn really believes that rocks are atheist. But as a Native American, I can go inside of that and I can say, well, according to this belief that I used to hold, we're all related, and that includes the Rock Nation as well. And you know, if rocks could have a conscience, you know, maybe Arn's wrong.
They would recognize our relationship.
Yeah, maybe rocks would actually fall within, you know, if God exists, then rocks and the consciousness of rocks would fall within, you know, God's alignment. And if God doesn't exist, then Arn would be right and rocks would be atheist. I'm going to do this whole rocks atheist video talking about consciousness because, you know, we assume consciousness on the human level because that's our perspective. Sure. But we can't look at a rock and know if it has or doesn't have a conscious, right?
Right. We can't know that because
I'm on this philosophy shit tonight, Richard, and I said, you know, I do see like maybe one possible troll in the side chat, so I'm waiting for the group to show up.
Once the group let's shows not up, recognize that.
I'm out, yo.
let's not that person will not be coming in. I've already
people don't like me. You know, people don't like me.
Now that person is not coming in because they say unreasonable things at inappropriate times. Okay, and not to be prejudiced, they do that to themselves.
Yeah, I'm just you know, I saw that you were live and I hopped in because you're my brother and usually I can like I feel pretty safe with you, but I do have these people that are after me and I'm in this like I'm in this zone to where I'm really questioning, hey, am I the raging atheist? Because you know I don't know if this is deism. I don't change. I don't believe in any gods like to the human perception of God. But this thing could be considered a god, I think. You know what I'm saying?
You've used this term maybe 10 times now, but I don't know what your definite and yours, just yours. I don't care about anybody else's, not even mine.
All right.
Tell me what God means.
So my perception of God would be this figure, whether it's physical or not, that has this conscious that's outside of nature. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, when I'm talking about the universe and a consciousness of the universe being the nature of, you know, like if the universe is consistent in its nature, couldn't that be like evidence of this like universal consistency, which could be considered a conscious? Would that not be a god? And would that not fall within like I know you don't understand the Lakota universal religion that I used to practice, but
a little bit
to me it kind of falls within that, you know, that framework that we are all related and we are all part of this universe as this intricate little piece, and it kind of goes to like this meme that I've seen several times to where human beings, we are literally the manifested minds of the universe, right? Like each one of us are a mind of the universe, and I've talked about it in streams before. Like, wouldn't that lead to like, you know, there's almost 9 billion people on this planet? Wouldn't that be 9 billion different universes all on this planet trying to interact with each other? And wouldn't that lead to all the drama that is like nonstop in my life?
That's why you see it, right?
Yeah. Like this is the things that I think about, Richard. And people say I you know, I'm not a philosopher, but like no, this is the type of shit I think about, right?
Everyone's a philosopher. Everyone. They may not know specialty terms, you know, like job specific language, like being a machinist. You know, a mechanic can say stuff about your car and it confuses the operator, but that's because he's talking mechanic stuff. But that's just fanciness. Everyone's a philosopher.
You know, I have a lot of Christians come at me, and they come at me, you know, they see my old videos where I'm literally like an agnostic atheist, and they're like, what is that? You're like an agnostic, dude. And, you know, like, I don't want to run away from it. Like, you know, I remember back in the day, like, Ali really pointed it out, and I think it was like Ocean and that crew kind of like saw it a bit in me as well. And it's like, I'm not really this atheist, dude. But at the same time, I'm a naturalist, and
that's okay.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to come to terms with, right? Like, because I don't believe in a man-made God, quote unquote, a man-made God. What I said, like this.
I don't know any religion that professes that.
You know,
I only know religious people who profess that.
Well, I mean, there's quite a few. Like if you look at like say Norse mythology, right? Like so, even the Reconstructionists would tell you that they're like discombobulated minds that float through the universe. But like if you actually read the myths and you read the stories, they're represented as humanoid creatures. And even in the Christian Bible, at first, God is represented as this humanoid creature. I don't believe in a physical being that's omniscient, that has all this power and that can control the universe. But the universe, if that's living like according to the Lakota tradition,
Right.
well, doesn't that mean I'm still religious if I believe that? And do I believe that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right on.
That's like
I want to help you
conundrum I'm
sort
in.
through it and not make you say anything.
I'll be quiet and listen to your thoughts for a moment.
I don't want to try to manipulate you in any negative way, but I just want you to review what you're saying, because that's important. Not what I think. That's irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, this is just what kind of like where I've been at, and I got all these trolls telling me to go to bed and shit. And like, no, I'm staying up late and I'm trying to think. Like I know moving forward, my focus is going to be like political. I don't think that the raging atheist is going to live for much longer. I'm gonna probably start something new.
Okay.
But I want to be honest with myself, and like I've been an agnostic atheist for 3 years now. I've had all these people coming at me. You're not really an atheist because you say you don't know about this. Well, no, I say that I don't know about the Christian God. I definitely don't know. I definitely know that the Buddha didn't exist, right? Like the Buddha didn't sit under a tree, sleep for 20 years, and all these animals brought him fucking food. That just never happened. I know that on a naturalist term. Like I know that like that doesn't happen in nature. Just like I know that Jesus Christ didn't die, come back to life after 3 days, because that doesn't happen in nature. So what I believe in is nature, and if nature is consistent, like if science proves that nature is consistent, and it might within my lifetime, wouldn't that be something universal that we, maybe not the common definition of what a god is, but couldn't we look at that and say, hey, that's something right there?
Okay, let me ask you a few baseline questions. In order for something to be a god, does it have to be similar enough to you that it is at some level noticeably conscious? Does that matter?
No. So for me, like my thing has always been like humans in our perception could never try to even understand what a god would be. If you're talking about something like that rules the universe on a level that we know the universe is now, our human perception could not fathom that, right? So like if there is a god out there that is the master designer, quote unquote, as Christians would like to say, it would be something vastly different than we had ever considered before. And that's what I'm putting forward, is like maybe the Lakota considered it. Maybe the Lakota saw it. They saw it in the life cycles here on the planet. They saw that our planet is a living planet, which I think even science recognizes now. So if our planet is a living planet, if there's other living planets out there, could not there be a consistency to this life thing? And behind that, whatever that is, that could be quote unquote God.
Let me bring something up with you, and I want to see if you agree with it, because it sounds like you just want a definition of what you're saying. So let me share that with you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out, and you're like one of the most honest people I know.
I'm willing to work with you, man. I'm totally willing to work with you, no matter what turns out. Okay, I'm gonna make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, can you read that? Is that possible for you to read? Or do you want me to read the louder?
No, I can read it on the on the playback screen.
So, are you better hearing or to absorb things, or are you better reading it yourself?
Probably hearing.
Okay,
because it's going to be like a 30-second delay.
Yeah. Okay, so
my StreamYard is all jacked up. I got this hack, and I on the StreamYard, the actual live feed, it's really small and I can't see it, but I can see it on the playback, which is like 30 seconds behind.
Oh, okay. Okay. So cool. So you'll be able to review this. So I'm just going to read this first basic description and see if you agree with it, and then you can review. You don't have to comment right away. Panpsychism is the view that all things have a mind or a mind-like quality. The word itself was coined by the Italian philosopher, who cares, in the 16th century, and derives from the two Greek words pan, meaning all, and psyche, meaning soul, which actually means mind. So it's an idea of an all mind. This definition is quite general and raises two immediate questions. What does one mean by all things? And what does one mean by mind? On the first question, some philosophers have argued that literally every object in the universe, every part of every object, down to as small as it goes, and every system of objects as a collective work possess some mind-like quality. And I'll stop right there.
Yeah, I mean that's like nailing it on the head. So yeah, panpsychism. I'm gonna have to really look into that, because
okay, that was way too rudimentary, but it gives you a word to look into.
Yeah, it'll give me a path to move forward. I can look at that. I can either accept it or dismiss it. So I appreciate that, Richard, because yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you know, I did my, like, you know, our baby's atheist troll video, but I'm gonna do like our rocks atheist, but it's not going to be a troll video, because, you know, once you start looking at string theory and you understand the harmonics involved within the cell, and
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, where they can go mathematically with that, and I'm no mathematician, so you know I'm a layman when it comes to string theory, but when you go into the depth of the cell, it does appear that everything has a mind. Now, it wouldn't be a mind based on our human perception of what a mind is, like consciously thinking, making decisions. But on this atomic level, things are going on. It's very interesting. And then, you know, friends of mine like Leo Filius will just straight up say, hey, string theory is just bunk. Don't even listen to it. And he's a smart dude. I want to listen to him. But at the same time,
but that doesn't
string theory is not bunk, because a lot of very, very smart people devote their lives to it and are, you know, are coming out with these theories. They're theories, but scientific theories are different than what most people put the terminology theory onto, you know. So I mean, that's just my thoughts. I'm random all over the place tonight.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
What's up, Orge?
Orge, did you come in to have something to add, or are you sitting in the background? What are you doing, bro?
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt Knock as he was talking. Yeah, these topics you guys are talking about, I have, of course, interest in. So I'll discuss. Knock seems like he's in something right now, so if I can chime in, I will. But I think it's better for him to keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just kind of like my thoughts. Is you know, like, what is consciousness? Does consciousness apply to everything? But at the same time, you know, if I see like universal consciousness, or if I think it's a possibility, because I don't think science is there. We can't look at other living planets, see if it's consistent with the Earth quite yet. But I think that maybe within my lifetime we will. But if it's a possibility, and I'm being honest, can I deny that possibility, continue to be an atheist because I don't believe in man-made gods, but I recognize that there's something, even though I consider it still natural, maybe just naturalism can't quite explain it yet. Do I recognize, hey, I'm not the raging atheist, I'm the raging deist, maybe? You know, like whatever, you know,
that could be true.
Like I said, I'm moving forward with politics. I've been working on this side channel for a few months now. It's actually kind of taken off. The Raging Atheist is just kind of like my therapy and where I go to rage now. But at the same, this is what I'm like grappling with, and I want to be as honest as I can be. Like I was in Smoky Saints side chat maybe a few nights ago talking about this very thing, and I think that the Christians are just so theistic in their Abrahamics that they can't quite understand me, and they're like they just want to kind of jump on the bandwagon. Oh, raging atheist is saying he's converting. No, I'm not. I'm not theistic at all. This still falls within naturalism. I'm just talking about consistency within the universe. If that's proven and if that's possible, how can I deny that, right? And I just totally hit my freaking elbow on my desk.
Oh, that's always lovely. Everyone enjoys that. I think the right question to ask in moving forward with what you're saying is, okay, you don't require, or all things are at some level in some way conscience. But I have to wonder how important it is to you that something was done on purpose or incidentally through the laws of physics. If it's only the laws of physics, is that important enough that it deserves your veneration?
So those terms, like the term "on purpose," I think is a human term, right? Like if we're talking on universal standards, like say the universe started with the Big Bang, right? And it has progressed naturally ever since the Big Bang. We as human beings on this earth can only really perceive and conceive of our earthly perception on a universal level. Well, this thing it has advanced on a very broad level for 12 billion years or so, right? So
possibly
that's kind of what I'm talking about. Everything that I'm talking about now still falls within the natural. It's just within that naturalism that science can't quite explain yet. Like Christians will go on ad nauseum, not you, Richard, because you're a good dude and you have your own thoughts, and your thoughts are actually a lot more rational than most Christians that I talk to. But like Christians will go on ad nauseum about the Kalam and how the universe exists, therefore a God must exist. And I'm like, well, no, the universe exists, and it has like pushed out this naturalism everywhere, and human beings for the last 100 million years have really been struggling to try to catch up and understand what's going on in the universe around us. And I don't even think we're there yet. I think we're like halfway there, right? Like we won't be there until after I'm dead, right? Like, I don't know. It's random thoughts that I have been struggling for several months. Am I an atheist or am I an agnostic, a deist? Richard, you pretty much introduced like this new term that I really got to look into myself. So yeah, that's what I'm struggling with.
Good. It's good to grow, and grow comes from the answer no, because no one ever learned from yes. Yes is only confirmation. You don't learn from it. So I'm happy to see you exploring where you are in life right now. I think that's amazing. Welcome, Batman. Please say hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm better than I deserve. I don't know your voice.
You're not Mr. Batman, so you're good.
No, he's not.
No. Actually, me and Richard we've talking in quite a few different Discords.
Okay, great.
You probably just don't remember my voice.
No, I remember the voice. I don't remember this picture, and I don't remember this name.
Oh yeah, my Batman picture. I decided to. I can't find it this time around for some weird reason.
Fair enough.
To add it.
Do you have anything to add to what Nock's saying right now that you'd like to say right away?
Sure. While you're looking into panpsychism, I think the other thing that I think you should probably entertain is morphic resonance or morphic resonance theory. It's something that a gentleman named Rupert Sheldrake came up with.
Batman, would you type that in the private chat? I'm not going to remember that term.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll type it out for you.
I wrote it down. So yeah, I will definitely look into it. Thank you.
Yeah. Basically what it is, it's the idea that I guess everything, has a consciousness, but it also has like a form of interconnectedness, if that makes any sense.
So like field theory of some kind.
Yeah, right. And it's not necessarily just between organisms. It could be between inanimate objects like crystals, for example, where some crystals might develop in a particular way, right? And one side of the world.
Batman.
Yeah.
Is this like the water has feelings sort of idea?
No.
Oh, because it's kind of sound that way.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with Ogre. That's an old like Native American thing. Like, water is alive. Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but I get what you're saying. It does kind of seem like this interconnectedness that is something from the Lakota religion that I've never been able to get away from, and especially now, like when I see two sides of America so divided, half of America looks at Kyle Rittenhouse and Kyle Rittenhouse is this hero, and then half America looks at Kyle Rittenhouse and we see him as a murderer, and how we're so separated. And yet, if you really get into the nuance of those two individual peoples, you will find a connection there. But you got to look really, really hard. Even those two separate individuals are on this vastly different spectrum. If you look hard enough, there will be similarity and there will be common ground there. There will be this interconnectedness. And that's kind of like this Lakota religion philosophy that I've been really looking at, is the interconnectedness of all of life, and even the inanimate objects. Like I said, like Native Americans, they saw nations, and it was, the two-legged nation, the four-legged nation, the winged nation, but there was also the rock nation and the tree nation, and they saw all of these things as having mind and as being interconnected within the universe. And that's something that I'm finding really hard to reject as an atheist, is the possibility, at least, of that, because I don't think science could ever, we're not there yet to prove that, right?
We might, though. I mean,
we might be close. We might be close.
Are you aware of all the evidence to field theory?
No, that's something that would be completely new to me.
Have you heard of the 100th monkey? You ever heard that term?
I've heard of 12 Monkey.
That's
12 Monkeys.
It's a great movie, but not the same thing. The 100th monkey. They say the island monkey is evolving and they'll put it in scientific papers. In fact, when it starts exhibiting a certain behavior that it's never exhibited before. What they leave out of that survey is that the mainland monkey has been doing it for a while now. Okay. And I'll give an example. Monkey on the mainland sees human being shell a nut with a tool. Okay. Say like those nut crackers or something like that. The monkey starts imitating this behavior, smashing nuts between, this is a bad example, but it'll work. Smashing the nuts between two sticks. Soon, about the time the 100th mainland monkey starts doing that, there's an island monkey that starts doing it, never seeing the behavior. Now, this is extremely well documented. And it's not like nobody's saying, oh, maybe, if they're not in complete denial.
That's definitely interesting, Richard. I wrote that down as well. I'm glad I came in. I got like so much research.
Homework is what we're doing.
I know. I got so much research. Actually, no. Like for an OCD like person like me, that's like heaven. I'll clean my house tomorrow and I'll start researching. I will be in bliss. This is what I was kind of hoping for. Thank you, Ogre. Good. Thank you, Odeon. I'm gonna hang around. We can continue talking. I would definitely like to hear you guys' thoughts, and we can open it up to whatever conversation. Yeah, I got that off my chest. That's like the first time live I've ever said it. I went hard at Khalil Allah for his conversion, and okay. I don't think I'm converting. Don't get me wrong. I definitely don't believe in man-made gods. I definitely think that by the definition that we apply to atheist, I'm still an atheist. But at the same time, I am not closing myself off to this universal.
You be careful now. You're going to get accused of honesty.
Yeah,
you quit that.
I'm dangerously honest. It's a fault of mine. So, I'm honest even when I shouldn't be, Richard. I'll put it that way. Yeah, and you say people don't watch you, but like my viewers do, and they'll watch it and they're like, God damn it, Knock turned on us. But no, I've been struggling with this for a couple months.
You know what? It's only confirmation bias if you always think you're always right.
Yeah, like I've been an atheist for so long now. I've been an atheist for over 20 years. And I'm an atheist by like the terminologies of man, but am I an atheist by the terminologies of the universe? Like if there is this universal life that could be a god, we just had it wrong all along, right? Like I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, what's also pretty interesting too is this phenomenon. So a lot of people tend to look at the universe as either being like super orderly, but it's also extremely chaotic. But it also has another side to it, where it essentially has a way of creating order out of chaos, right? And there's this thing that happens. I don't remember the correct term for it, but for example, if you put two mechanical clocks in close proximity to each other, right, and you set them at different times, right, they'll go yes, they'll synchronize over time. And it's the same thing for footsteps in a crowd, right? If people just keep walking in the same direction, eventually all of their steps will just synchronize.
That was a real problem on that London Bridge that they opened up that new sidewalk.
Yes. It's super fascinating. You guys should definitely look into that. We don't fully understand how it works.
But it happens. We see it happen.
Yep. It happens. It's like a real thing. And apparently it's not, it doesn't just affect, things on a big scale or necessarily just a small scale. It's something, it affects things on a molecular level too, as well. And so, I think that's probably part of the reason why some people who buy into like morphic resonance might think it's an actual thing.
So Batman, I looked up that clock thing you were talking about, and I just posted a link. It seems to be that it's just the pulses being created, the air pulses being created by the pendulums.
Yeah, they better have an explanation for that.
Like it's not some mystical resonance or anything.
Come on, man. Why would the air pulses affect the clock in that way?
If you because I can send you a couple.
Quick pause, gentlemen. Terribly sorry. Quick pause. I have to give someone some respect. Midnight, I already promised I wouldn't bring you in. I don't want to leave you hanging there. It's rude.
Well, I mean, you can bring Midnight in. I'll try to be nice.
Yeah?
I'll try to be nice.
Promise?
It might be hard, but yeah, I'll be nice.
Okay, well, I didn't know that I wasn't allowed on the channel because I just started watching.
You're not permanently not allowed on the channel. That's not true.
No, I said I would leave as soon as my troll showed up, but you're not really a troll.
Well, at least you recognize that when you told me to kill myself.
How did I tell you to kill yourself?
You told me to get a 10, Knock.
Oh, but I really thought I thought that when you were joking, it's okay because you laughed at the racist joke and you got so mad at me for saying that jokes should be considered bigoted. And as soon as it's aimed at you, as soon as you say go to bed, Knock, and I respond, well, get a tan, Midnight, then you got real offended by that.
Hey guys, I've got a really good idea. I'm going to be offensive to you both. I'm going to be offensive equally. How about we move forward in time starting right now? Peace, respect, Wesley L. Curry.
I'm Wesley Lawrence Curry II.
you know, I won't run away from it, Midnight. Yeah, I told you to go get a tan, and I understood what that entailed. But I also understood it was after you told me to go to bed, which is this meme now that
help me
all
out,
of
bro.
my haters are using.
Respect
help
the
me
host.
Out.
Respect
help me
whatever.
out. Let's move forward in time.
Let's do it.
This moment just started.
Cool.
Okay,
what do you
so
think?
John, you were talking to Batman.
Am I an atheist or am I something different, Midnight?
You know what? I'll just.
No, dude, I was asking like that was like the whole. That's what we've been talking about.
Let's move forward, guys.
I was totally not being a dick right there. Like that's what we've been talking about. So I'm like, all right, Midnight. Am I an atheist or am I not? Like I would respect the answer. I was moving forward.
Yes, you were. Everyone sees that. Now let's move forward again.
Richard runs a tight ship around here, okay?
I want you guys to be loving of each other and progressive. That's really all I'm asking.
Batman, you were going to tell me how I was wrong, I believe?
No, I wasn't saying that you're wrong. I was saying that the phenomena, it happens. Damn. So the way how they measure this particular phenomena, right?
The
it doesn't seem, particularly for the clocks. For example, the same mechanics doesn't apply to for example, the London Bridge, right? And so they can't use the same equations to solve the London Bridge.
Well, I didn't say they could. I was answering specifically for the clocks.
You were specifically talking about the clocks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, London Bridge. The London Bridge, you mean like people's footsteps coming into synchronicity?
Yeah, I mean that's one other example, but there are like a ton of different examples out there. I'm actually going to post a link to a book if you're interested in like looking more into it. Right, it's a phenomena that happens, and they look at each of these situations and they're like, okay, this is how it happens, but why does it happen under these circumstances, right? And it's explained this way, but it's different under a different set of conditions, right?
Sure.
So they can explain each situation, but it's the same phenomena happening in each situation.
I guess I know nothing about the subject because I haven't studied it all, but I would have to surmise that people's footsteps lining up on a bridge would be humans just lining up their footsteps subconsciously. Like that doesn't, again, seems to be something that's very easily explainable without supernatural or mystical phenomenon.
I mean, I'm not proposing.
Like, if you walk behind someone, you just kind of naturally do those things because.
I mean, I'm not.
I think it's actually. I think it's ingrained. One second. Real quick, just to Ogre's point. I don't mean to overcut you, but like, you know, back when we were tribal creatures, when we were hunter migratory creatures, you had to be silent, and oftentimes you had to follow in the footsteps of the person before you. And I think that's like kind of ingrained in our DNA still. Like, you know, like we naturally had this fear of wolves, right? Even though wolves are basically extinct, and they're having this big debate in Idaho at the moment. I think it's Idaho, on whether or not they're going to allow wolves back into the society and try to breed them back in. And there's this like huge debate because humans are still scared of wolves. That was like 50,000 years ago, right? Like, but it's kind of ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah, I mean, that explanation, because as I said, the phenomena has been explained. It's definitely not biological.
Wait, synchronized footsteps isn't biological?
No, I'm gonna post a link for you guys in a second so you guys can look into it a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not proposing that it's like, you know, some mythical thing. It's just one of those things that we notice in the universe, right? It just happens, and you know, it just happens under certain different circumstances. It requires a different explanation. You know,
a non-physical explanation or a physical explanation.
I mean, I would say a physics explanation, because that's typically what they use.
When this conversation started, I thought you were trying to infer a non-physical explanation for some of these things.
Well, and I'm telling you, like, I grew up here in Michigan. Right now, we're already getting snow. It's been a lot warmer the last decade, but I clearly remember growing up, lots of snow on the ground. And there are two types of people. Most people follow in the same exact footsteps as the person that broke the snow before them. And then you have like this like select group that just is like, fuck it, I'm gonna create my own tracks. Those are the two types of people that exist in the world.
Yeah, so Batman, if I mistook your original argument here, that'd be my bad there. So
no, I mean I don't. So there's one of the things with me is that I try not to. And to be fair, I am a Christian, right?
No, you're not.
Oh no! How terrible!
None of you are.
You're always a Christian.
You all worship money, and you know it.
But I don't. Just because something doesn't have an explanation, I don't automatically like attribute it to God or anything like that. It's just a situation where you just don't have an understanding, and having an understanding doesn't necessarily mean it disproves the existence or non-existence of a deity, right? I mean, well, it depends on whatever deity a person might ascribe to, but
the deity has no need to prove that he's God to you. You have to prove that you're worthy of him.
In my opinion, I think that within my lifetime, I'm hoping that we can actually solve this question, because I think that if, through brain mapping, if we can solve the question of dualism, if we can solve the question of whether or not conscious and mind is separate from the brain, then I think we solve the question of God. And I think science is going to solve that. We're just not there yet. So, I mean, that's why like the conversation is still interesting, right? But I think sooner than later, we're going to map the brain enough and we're going to locate the mind, and we're going to solve this once and for all, whether dualism is correct or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, as I said, my view is that, I just keep these things kind of separate, right? I don't necessarily see the need for, to say, just because this thing can't be explained by this, therefore it's this, right? We can speculate, but that's pretty much, what I'll do, and that's it. I won't make any claims and say this is the case.
Well, I can explain some things to you, but they shall not be written down on paper.
If you won't pause, I will mute you. Thank you so much for coming in, Wildheart. Say hey to everybody. Tell them what you do on your channel.
Cheers. I have Richard Martin on my channel. That is all.
and Midnight Sparkle, welcome back. Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Well, the proof has been given to you. You're just going to lie about it is all. I mean, if you want to be embarrassed, that's fine. That's understandable. You were given fish and bread 4 times, August 11th, the 13th of November, the 24th of November, and a 4th time you were given a healed tooth in your mouth.
Nobody understands the other night what you're saying.
Well, if your Jewish blood do not mix, that should explain who I am.
Something about teeth? Who had healed teeth?
You do. And I can undo it too.
What is going on right now? What?
I don't know. He's been around. Nobody
you had a feeling of peace in your. You had a feeling of peace in your souls for 18 years, from the moment that the Messiah said it is time, and the lunatic said sad and delicious. Way back in 2004, January 3rd, it was in the middle of the night. Maybe about 2 a.m.
That make more sense.
So I want to know this. What happened on January 3rd in the middle of the night?
God said it is time, and the lunatic said sad and delicious.
Where is that? Where can I find that?
Well, you're not going to find it in you because you want to lie and say that it's the truth.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'll go to a YouTube channel. Where can I find it?
Wait. We are not calling people liars unless we have proof of it. If you have some evidence that somebody lied, I'd like to hear the evidence.
I have no idea what's going on right now.
I muted the gentleman temporarily, But if we're going to accuse people of lying, we have to have something we can show to show they lied. Okay. Go ahead and present your evidence that he lied.
Well, were given fish and bread 4 times. You've got a healed tooth in your mouth, and you were given healing of probably a toe or a genital wart the night before last. That healing be undone to you all in this group now.
Okay,
Am I just retarded or
time
did
out,
I
guys.
understand?
Let's see if that's true. Does anyone here have genital warts ever in their life?
No.
I'm not.
Okay,
No.
so no one got healed of genital wart. What was the other option they might have been healed of?
Are any of you Hebrew?
No.
I'm
Native
No.
American and Irish.
So none of us are Hebrew. What was the other thing?
You were given fish and bread 4 times by angels of Jesus, and you said no in your heart, so you weren't given to eat it.
Fish is
Okay,
kind of
was that? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Was that Were those physical, manifested fish and loaves, fish and bread?
Yes, they were.
Could everyone please think about their diet and think about if they've had fish and bread specifically together 4 times in your recent memory?
I don't eat fish, but I eat bread.
This question is complete legitimacy. By the way,
if I may
to
say,
ask is a serious question.
What you're doing is
let me ask my question, dude. Let me ask my question, please. Fish and bread in the biblical sense is literally loaves and fishes, right?
Yes.
Are you saying any combination of fish and bread, like, is a fish sandwich with like mayonnaise the same thing as fish and bread?
I could have had
fish, baked fish, and bread, baked bread.
So like a McFish from McDonald's is not
people.
The same thing.
People don't eat fish. I work in the food business here in America.
None of you do. None of you ate it.
People don't eat fish no more. It's nasty. We got beef and steak.
The only other evidence
every once in a while, ogre. Every once in a while, I like it as well. But I'm telling you, I work in the food industry. Fish is our lowest selling item. People don't eat fish. They want a steak. They want ribs. They want shrimp.
All right, guys, pause for me.
If you'll let me speak,
Wesley,
there's an end to your game. The end to your game is you're
Wesley,
going to be
I won't
offered.
let you speak if you keep doing that. I'm trying to address you, sir. I'm trying to address you with respect, and I'd appreciate if you let me. Okay? A man that I really trust, who is a regular on my channel, and you're new, and I'm not trying to be prejudiced. I'm just trying to be honest with you, has told me that you're kind of a Bible troll.
Well, that's Nyanya.
So you kind of agree with him.
So that's Nyanya.
I don't know what that meant.
That means it's a childish game he's playing. It's called Nyan 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 Nyan.
Okay.
Oh, I get it.
All right. Mr. Wesley, you can see yourself to the door.
Mr. Wesley, like I'm not doing lives anymore, but contact me. You're different and weird, and I'll talk to you.
That's kind of a one-on-one chat.
I told the man it's someone that I trust. He doesn't believe me. It's someone I trust.
Richard, I think I've seen him a couple times before, and he acted that exact same way. Just talk.
We're not preaching at each other.
We were having a decent conversation.
I don't think he's a troll. Never mind. I'm not
I'm just pissed that relish doesn't count. Like
we were having a decent conversation with a bunch of different perspectives, and then he came in, and it was like,
let's go back to that. It's a good idea.
Like
good
what?
Idea. Let's go. I'm sorry, but I didn't know who he was.
I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying,
cool,
like,
it's cool.
I want to understand his perspective. So email me at the Raging Atheist, DARagingAtheist@gmail.com.
I think he needs to understand his perspective first, just to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. But come in, I will try to understand. And me and Richard, we talked how many times, Richard? Do you know?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, it might take a lot of conversations, but I'm willing to have them.
So I believe we were left off on. Oh, we got new people too, Rich. I don't know if you want to. Guy at the bottom.
Excuse me.
Yes, this is Krishna, a stoic and a philosopher within Hinduism.
He's an asshole.
Oh, fun.
He's willing to show his face though, so respect.
Krishna is a big teddy bear.
Sorry.
Uh,
Krishna, Hari Krishna.
Oh, he's found God.
so I mean, I guess going back to the.
He doesn't even know what he just said.
It's good to see you guys. Thank you for the warm welcomes. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Christian.
Midnight, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I guess going back to the whole mind body, the whole mind body problem. Like I've always thought that if dualism was true, then that just brings up a whole host of questions. If it is, if it is true that they're both mind and body, or intertwined, because they've done a lot of research to where to where what happens to the body affects the mind. But the thing is that your mind can also affect the body. So it's like, okay, well, is your mind kind of like the driver, and your brain the vehicle? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
You know what? I think it goes back. I think it goes back and forth, right? I would say that I'm a dualist. I think the mind is a thing. I think it's immaterial in nature, but I think that immaterial state is a byproduct of the chemical processes that is your brain and that happens in your brain. That's just my personal view. That's
right.
Science behind it. That's just my personal view.
Well, hold on. If the mind, like brain and mind always get interchanged, we use by the different. If the mind is just a byproduct of the brain, that once we die, that's it. But if dualism is true, that once the body dies, once the vessel dies, the mind goes back to the source. Now, I honestly don't think the source is heaven or hell. The source may just be a collective universal unconscious that for some reason decides to split itself off into the various people in the room. I've always wonder. Go ahead.
I think it's also a reasonable position to just say, hey, if the brain dies, the mind dies, and then the mind dissipates because the brain is no longer a thing.
Peace and respect, Interpol dancer. Brilliant name, by the way.
But look, for me, I honestly think that the mind comes from the brain, and it sucks. It sucks that when we die, that that's gone. But also, understanding that the mind comes from the brain. Actually, well, this is me personally. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass here. It actually allows you to take control of your life, because most of you've known me for, I don't know, 3 years, maybe
longer than that.
Yeah, longer than that. I think Orgay just met me this year. Ray just known me for like 3.5. I don't know. Like,
about 3.5 years probably.
Yeah, I've changed a lot over these past few years, because over time I've learned just how powerful the human mind can be once you learn to apply it. Right. I've done a lot of meditation. I've done a lot of I'm still working on it, honestly.
That's good.
I've done a lot of meditation. I've done a lot of like journal writing. Kind of. I've worked hard trying to get control of my emotions. I don't always succeed, mind you. But
Midnight, would you do me a favor?
I have 100% control of my emotions, yo.
No,
Midnight, I need you to do me a favor. Midnight, will you run the room while I go smoke?
Oh yeah, that's fine. I will. Thank you for trusting me. Actually, so that's.
No, I kind of agree with you, man. I like I'm a naturalist, and I think that mind is part of the brain, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that if through brain mapping, if we actually if science actually proves that mind is separate from brain, I think that goes a long way towards the theistic argument. Like it proves something that's not in that natural world, right?
Yeah, not to interrupt you, but as far as I see it, science has already shown that the mind comes from the brain. They just don't know how.
Well, I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
Yeah, like I know all of that science, but as a naturalist, I still have my doubts, right? Like I still have, like you said it yourself. We have seen where injuries to the body does affect the mind without a doubt. But we have also seen how the mind affects the body. And usually as a naturalist, we focus on that one aspect of it, injuries to the body affecting the mind, and we ignore how the mind affects the body. And that's kind of like the doubts that I'm kind of having with it. And that's why I'm still kind of open. I don't want to completely deny the supernatural or the unnatural. I am a naturalist, but I do think that if we can settle that discussion of dualism, we settle a lot of discussions, right?
Well, but I mean, even here's the thing. Even if dualism turns out to be, excuse me, even if hang on, even if dualism does turn out to be true, that doesn't necessarily point to a god and the supernatural.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like we're still not there, but we have settled a lot, and then we can actually maybe start to get there.
But look, I don't know if all the stories I've read are true, but I've read a lot of I've read a lot of pretty powerful stories about the power of the human mind and the human imagination. They've been studies to where cancer patients that have actually imagined their immune cells, attacking the cancer. Now that obviously they still got medical intervention. You know what I mean? But they didn't need medication afterwards. Because they
placebo's
used
a thing. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to call it placebo, but it's more than that. You know what I mean? But they use the power of their minds, combined with medical intervention. Let's see what else is there. They've actually found that that the memory of inflammation actually causes inflammation in the body. You say you have inflammation, but then it disappears. Actually thinking about it, but like there's.
Can we figure out how hiccups work?
What?
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's a solution to all of this.
Still
It's
don't
alchemy.
know how that works.
Yeah, alchemy.
Alchemy is the solution to all of this.
Well, at least
I'm trolling myself right now. Sorry.
I know you are. I know. I got the reference. I know that reference, Captain America. But yeah, for me, I just really, really, really like the mind. I like the understanding, and I like learning more about it. I like putting myself in other people's minds, seeing what they think, how they think. Hell, you know what? I could be a good profiler for the FBI.
It's funny too because sometimes I agree in that the mind is a very powerful thing, but sometimes it can be overpowering for a lot of people, especially people who are hyper self-conscious, right? Where they're that typically leads to them being overly critical, overly analytical, and stuff like that, and they tend to think about everything. And so
I feel called out now.
Oh man,
I feel really called out.
I've accused you of thinking too fast. But
yeah, but now you're accusing me indirectly of thinking too much.
A good remedy for that, actually, well, there are two good remedies.
Religion, right? Just shut up and believe.
Well, one of them's a religion, one of them's not. Stoicism actually helps with that.
I know. Stoicism, Buddhism, you know what I mean?
I'm getting into Stoicism because everybody tells me I need Stoicism in my life.
You do, Knock.
You need Stoicism in your life.
The issue with
I've only
stoicism.
heard that like a billion times now, and no, I'm reading Marcus Aurelius right now, and I'm devoting like the next 4 months to Stoic philosophy.
That's
Were you
good.
eating fish when you
Well,
did that?
look, I wanna
No,
or
straight medium rare steak. Medium rare
Odin,
steak.
Odin, I wanted to go back to something you said because I honestly don't think the placebo effect, the placebo effect explains, some people actually being able to walk again through the power of their minds, to thinking, I'm gonna walk again, 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 and they've managed to do it. Now, are those stories true? I don't know. But what I do know is that the human mind is powerful when trained well. I'm I'm gonna continue to learn more about it and continue to change myself and improve. Mind you, talk is cheap. As people
Yeah, I
say.
mean, like, take for example, right? A lot of these philosophies, for example, that have to do with the mind, or I call them life practices or whatever, right? Or trying to master being.
Yes.
Um, a lot of them have certain drawbacks to them. Like, for example, if you're someone who has like really bad anxiety, stoicism might not necessarily be a good choice, mainly because stoicism, a part of it actually, um, to practice it, you have to imagine the worst case scenario for your life, and you have to accept that, right? Because just in case it happens, right, or something close to it happen, you'll still be in a state of control, right? Um, Zen, for example, Zen doesn't necessarily have any morals attached to it, right? It's literally just focused on, um, becoming a master of being and becoming enlightened, so to speak,
But
right?
I think what you're saying, stoicism, especially part of it, if you're anxious and you imagine the worst case scenario, you become more anxious. Is that?
Exactly.
Hey,
But then,
y'all. Real quick. I feel my medications are really kicking in. I'm gonna like listen and go to bed. So I'm gonna
Always will
bow.
say it to
I'm
you.
I'm gonna bow out. But
Yeah, we're supposed
I
to
will be
do that.
listening. But it's kicking in right now.
look.
So
Before you
Me
go,
have to do that to you. Yeah.
yeah, before you go, we really should talk one day.
oh, I'm sure we will. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Like I said, I've been thinking about some shit. you know. But thank you guys for all the input. I got a lot to look in. Midnight, thank you for coming back in, dude.
Yep.
Definitely. We'll talk. You're still on my Discord. I'm not gonna boot you off or nothing. We'll have a conversation. And yeah, this shit is kicking my ass. I'm gonna listen to you guys, and then I'm gonna go to bed. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks
Yep.
for dropping
Right.
by, brother.
But okay, Odin. Another thing that I've learned, that the psychology has learned about the mind, and maybe some people in here may disagree, but it's literally in psychology, so look it up. Is that your nervous is that your nervous system can't tell the difference between an imagined event and an actual event.
Hmm.
That's that's what that's why what happens. God damn it, let me try again. That's why somebody who's anxious will become more anxious when they imagine a worst case scenario.
Exactly. It's more vivid for them.
Yes.
I need a timeout. Wesley in the side chat, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you very much. I'm sorry the conversation didn't work out this time. Perhaps you'd come by another time when we can have a one-on-one conversation. We would talk. Okay.
Well,
It just you didn't. Hold on a second.
okay.
Sorry. It's just that you didn't work out in this particular conversation. And have a good night.
I honestly I wouldn't waste your time with Wesley because every room he's
No, we're not
been
doing
in.
that. We're not doing that. I'm sorry.
Doing what?
We're moving on from
gentleman
Wesley.
needs to talk. I'm going to talk to him sometime, just not now.
Okay. I was just trying to warn you, but whatever.
I love you, Sparkle. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm just saying I see what you're about to say, and you don't need to say it.
Okay.
Okay. Please go on, gentlemen.
But yeah.
But yeah, the mind rocks.
Yeah, it's. I think it's. Me personally, I think.
We really should talk again.
Both these life philosophies are pretty useful, especially for people who lack control and sometimes overthink or think a lot. It allows people to think more linearly, so to speak, instead of like being all over the place.
Right, but I guess I'll wait till you're done because I do want to add something into that.
Yeah, and it brings a form of discipline to their lives as well. And so, I will say that Zen Buddhism is kind of weird, but it's just one of those things where once you get it, your mind is basically blown once you get it, because how you reach, enlightenment or satori, it's not through like necessarily just through a bunch of meditation and going through rituals and that's it. It's typically through getting one thing right, and once you get that one thing, it's like everything else starts to make sense. And it's typically through an emotional experience. That's kind of one of the reasons why the Zen koans tend to be. They kind of seem like jokes because they're supposed to be puzzling and get a reaction out of you.
Okay, God damn it! I forgot what the hell I was gonna say.
Not bad. Hey, listen, you think too fast. So.
But no. Actually, no. Thank you. I just remember. In my view, I think overthinking is when that stops you from doing anything. You know what I mean? You overthink you overthink way too much. You overthink you overthink. Should I go to the bathroom now or wait 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Should I? You know what I mean? Oh, like.
I think that's biological. If you wait 5 minutes, you're gonna.
No, I know, Wild Heart, but I'm saying, if you have a brain who overthinks, you overthink every little detail to where you literally don't even do anything, to where you don't eat, to where should I eat cereal or should I make eggs? Should I should I just have bread? That's overthinking, not what people have accused me of doing. Like, Jesus Christ, I've been accused of overthinking so much. I'm like, okay, well, there's such a thing as underthinking. You know what I mean? Like, what is the normal amount of thinking?
I mean, I guess there would be a thing such as that where you can experience something.
See, I'm overthinking about overthinking. I'm overthinking. I'm philosophizing about overthinking.
What is your subcount? I don't know.
It's suddenly 380. I don't know what happened, but I'm
gained 5
glad
subs
for it.
Sweet.
Apparently.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I don't know why that happened, but I'm thankful for it.
Well, people find you at least, as a couple more people find you to be very interesting and is interested in your channel. So
I guess
I'm a
you
weird guy.
I guess you have to change the title from 375 to 380.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and change it later. Yeah. Go on, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be an interruption.
But yeah, I will say though, go any form of life philosophy that doesn't necessarily have the baggage of maybe like a deity or ritual that's assigned to it. I think those things on their own can be pretty useful. but here's the thing. I think the ritual aspect of it is important because it helps people to build up consistency in their practices. And so the idea is that that would kind of bleed over in other aspects of their lives, and sure, it's the same thing just for, uh, folklore and stories and stuff like that. It's supposed to pass down traditions, right? Passing down traditions in culture is to maintain consistency within a society, right? And so I think, starting at the micro scale and going to the macro scale, um, I think if people at least take different parts of these various different, I guess, philosophies or religions,
What do you think I'm
right?
doing?
Yeah, that I definitely notice. It could be useful, and I always tell people that religion, just like most things, are tools. How you use them matter. You know,
Yep.
Philosophies, they're tools. How we use them matter, and so you know, it's not one of these situations where just because you might like certain aspects of let's say Hinduism, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to become a practicing Hindu because you like certain aspects of Hinduism. You might like the ritual, certain rituals that might be associated with it, right? Maybe
True.
it's beneficial to you. Well,
Yep.
learn
Hey, I
about
need.
it, use it.
That's true. Hey, Wildheart, I need to ask you something. What are you drinking?
Coke.
Okay. Are you? It's just Coke? No
Yeah.
whiskey? Just
No.
Coke.
Yeah, no. Whatsoever. No. Just you Coke.
Yeah.
You do make stem cells in your liver, but you do need time to heal it.
Oh no! Hold on. First of all, stem cells are all over the body, right? In the brain, in the heart. They've actually found that they're in the heart too. I don't know where they are. I don't know other places, but I know they're in the brain. Neurogenesis is a thing. They used to believe that the brain doesn't make brain cells anymore. Got to find out we do. The brain doesn't change after a certain point. High neuroplasticity is a thing. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Well, we've been learning more about
But that does include the liver, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I had I
now,
had to I had to like
I know you're specific. I like that.
Yep.
Wow,
Richard, have
you
you
got a lot of knowledge there, Midnight.
Thank
Impressive.
you.
Yeah,
have you ever
I
wondered?
can't. Well, hold on. I can't always get it out because of the stutter. But thank you.
We don't
you
care
are
if you stutter. You sound fine.
Midnight Rocks.
Are you? You don't hear the stutter?
We don't care.
We don't
Oh,
care. You just
Yeah.
Doesn't
we all
matter.
know you think. We all know you think faster than you speak. It's okay.
We love you, Midnight.
um. You know what? Fuck it. I'll take it. I'll take it from you, Wild Heart.
Fair enough. I think Batman, you were trying to say something that you thought mattered.
Yeah. So, I actually have a question for you. Have you
Sure.
ever
Me?
looked into um, the history, or I guess
How?
the phenomena of
What?
the
Oh, it's
phenomena
a
of
joke.
the heart?
Yeah, it's just so.
Wait, are
What do
you
you mean
asking
When I
by
me?
the
say
phenomena of the heart?
uh,
Midnight, we love you, but this is actually directed at me.
Okay, sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
What do you mean? What do you mean by the phenomena of the heart?
so the heart, being I guess somewhat of a psychic center, mainly grounded in emotions, for example, right? It
Mm-hmm.
seems something like this thing that exists among cultures all over the world, right? They call it different things, but they give it different names or whatever. But it's something that exists among humans, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever looked into how that manifested among human beings?
I like you being more specific. What do you mean by manifested?
Well, how did it came into being, like that concept of, because we have a physical heart,
It's a
right?
universal experience. That's how.
Interesting.
Like that's how we experience it. So we say it that way. Mm-hmm. And you might say something like, it's human nature for the brain to perceive that way. However, there is some value in more recent science assigning less actual experience to the brain itself, because there's no part of your nerves that aren't attached to your other nerves, you know. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to look at it in a more, I hate to use the word holistic, but it's factually the right word, a more holistic way.
Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, I guess fundamentally we understand it's something that actually, like, you know, when we experience things that we associate with the heart, like love and stuff like that, right? Like fundamentally we understand that it's something that happens in the brain, but yet still we disassociate that from the brain.
I personally get a physical sensation, which all of my perception is in my brain. I get that. I'm not denying that. However, I get the physical sensation of an aching heart when I think about those I love and want to be near and cannot be near them.
Don't on my heart, my achy breaky heart. Don't.
I'm sorry, we do not ever quote Billy Ray Cyrus on this channel, and that will not be. Sorry.
Well, okay. Oh, Oogway, why did you leave? Come back, you robot. I love you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just more. I haven't really looked into it that deeply as yet. Mm-hmm.
Peace and respect, brother.
Hey, peace. I haven't really looked up into it as yet, but it's definitely something I'm considering reading up on, because it's just this thing that just exists among humans, and we know it happens in our brain, but we disassociate it, right? Sure. Like sure, we know we have thoughts and thought streams, right, and experiences, right? But we don't disassociate those things from our brain or our mind, per se, right? But when it comes to, I know this might sound weird, but like things of the heart, right? We disassociate that.
And jumping back about 20 minutes, I didn't want to interrupt at all, but it strikes me that science does not have a way to test the individual experience. So when we say something like chemicals give you the experience of emotions, there's literally no way for us to say it happens in that order.
That's true.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's true.
There's an assumption in that.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the debate between.
Wait, hold on. I need to clarify something. Are you saying they don't know whether chemicals cause emotions or emotions cause chemicals?
That's right. We have no way to test the emotion itself.
I mean, scientists do know that certain chemicals do cause emotions, but then those emotions. Well, then I don't know, because you just agreed. That's what you said.
Yeah, that's what I'd said. Yeah.
So basically, your experience can trigger these chemicals, right, in your brain that could add to an experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean the chemicals are responsible for the reaction in the first place. It's the experience that triggers it versus the other way around. Both of them happens, basically. Like you can see something and get an anxiety attack, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that the chemicals that are generated in your brain and body, during the anxiety attack triggers the anxiety attack.
We could amplify the experience with one of those 3-dimensional Google glasses where people falling out of their chairs and stuff.
I mean, that's.
I don't know.
You know what? Never mind. Moving on.
But yeah, Richard.
I'm just saying I'm not convinced. Okay, I'm not ready to plant my flag on it. I just have some doubts. It seems to me that there's a presupposition there.
That's fine.
Fair enough.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of the other conversation where, or debate, so to speak, on whether or not we form our own beliefs, or it's something that just happens automatically.
Great question.
Right. I think this fall voluntary.
I mean, they do say you can't. You do say you have to choose your beliefs.
I was a bit.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Let me welcome Sammy, brother. Remember Sammy Jenkins, or 420 anti-theismist.
That's new. Yeah.
Maybe this is too simplistic the way I'm seeing it, but I've always understood it to be, so unless we're talking about predisposed conditions and things like that, let's say we don't have anything predisposed, we're a perfect clean slate of a human being. The way it works is the environment will create neural pathways within our brain, and the outcome from those particular experiences will then determine our reactions in the future. So when a similar circumstance presents itself and kicks open those neural pathways that led to that response, we then go through the motions, create the chemicals that correspond to that response, and have the response.
That's an excellent description of an overreaction to an odd stimulus you don't understand.
Yeah, as opposed to it happening in any other order.
It feels like it's a chicken and egg.
So who wants to talk about? So who wants to talk about Batman?
Nobody.
No.
Specifically.
No. So what I was basically
no, I was suggesting a topic change. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, what I was talking about earlier, it's called doxastic voluntarism and doxastic involuntarism. Where like we don't necessarily know which is the case. We don't know if both happen. We don't know what, necessarily how it works. Like, are people religious because they just become religious based on just their experience? Is it something that's pre-programmed? Like, we don't necessarily know those things. And so
I'd like to make it worse. I'd like to say that you can find persuasive evidence to the existence of anything, and if you go and look for it and you read enough, you learn enough about that mindset, about that topic, you can become convinced.
That's true. That's true. Regardless of the evidence that might be of it. And I'll just say this, right? I don't. Whatever a person's reasons for becoming religious, like I don't think that's necessarily something that should even necessarily be challenged or up for debate. People just
no, it should be challenged.
No, wait a minute. Expound on that, Batman, because I think Wildheart didn't understand what you said. He wouldn't have argued with that.
Well, I say this because I think people are going to find various reasons to justify their state, that belief state, whether it's true or not, right? And it's not necessarily something. I just use religion as one way to put it, right? Like you can assume a woman loves you based on your general interaction with her, right? You can have that belief, but deep down inside, she's just treating you nicely, right? You don't know whether or not she loves you. You just have a belief that she does, but you're basing it, and someone could confront you and be like, hey, you don't know this because I've seen her say certain things, right? Or do certain things that might not be associated with someone, who loves you, right? And then you'll come up with all sorts of explanations and justifications to justify your belief, right? So that's why, me personally, right, if someone comes to me and say, hey, I'm a Buddhist, and I gain my beliefs through a dream or a particular experience, I tend to not challenge it. I just go ahead.
You should challenge it, though.
I mean, I don't see any need to be honest. It'll be a complete waste of time.
Wait,
It's
challenge what? I was looking up something.
Oh,
The reason why
it's one thing to bring up these kind of topics in an online forum where we generally are all interested in religious topics, but in day-to-day life at the local restaurant and at the 7-Eleven store, it's kind of inappropriate to talk about this shit.
Yeah, but shouldn't you challenge your beliefs?
In a room full of zealots, you certainly should, and you have every right to. However, that doesn't apply. Not everyone's a zealot.
Right.
No,
if you're on YouTube, you're some kind of a zealot.
Okay, so then I guess I'm a zealot.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to talk about this shit at a family party, like at a Christmas morning.
Tell me, where is the line on when you should and shouldn't? Because
there's exceptions.
Maybe if it becomes self-destructive, I think under circumstances where someone's practice or belief is resulting in their own demise, right? I think that might be a good situation, right? Because regardless,
shouldn't everyone challenge their own beliefs constantly?
No.
My intention in what I said was that it's wrong to disturb people that are living harmonious, happy lives and just enjoying the afternoon. They shouldn't be assaulted.
Wildheart, let me ask you your opinion on something. There's a man named David Wood who is an actual psychopath for real. I'm not insulting the guy.
I know you're not. God damn it, I hate the guy.
And because of his belief in God, he doesn't continue to kill anyone arbitrarily just because he feels like he should. Would you say he should or should not keep his religion?
Yeah. Keep your religion.
Okay, so it's situational.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is such a rare instance, and for me,
it's not.
I can't think of many circumstances that aren't to that extreme, where you could say it's just people living their lives, just leave them be.
If I take Christian,
maybe on the very surface, and if you don't look any deeper than the very surface, yes, it looks that way. But I have not yet come across dogma that is not damaging.
I've heard many theists say something to the effect of, I would which thing is illegal, if I thought I could get away with it and it wasn't against my religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, G-Man said the same thing.
I've heard G-Man several.
See, and I know a lot of people say that. That doesn't mean I'm convinced that they believe that or that they would. Yeah. I think.
Well, no, hang on.
Their narrative.
Hang on. David Wood, before he became a Christian, Richard neglected to mention, David Wood took a fucking hammer and and bashed his father's skull. Luckily, his father survived. So when it comes to David Wood, Richard is right. He is an actual sociopath or whatever.
That's an extreme case. It
is an extreme case, but I'm just saying that when that applies and when it's not is how well you know the person and what you think they need when you're being selfless and considerate of them. And some people really need their religion. I'm not saying everyone is David Wood. I'm not saying that.
I do agree with what you're saying, except for the fact that it implies that there is no other option. That religion is the.
I don't think.
No, but that's what it is implying. Because you're saying no. Just say if you're going to say, hang on, if you're going to say that their religion is needed to stop them doing this stuff, that implies there's no other option, or it's not needed. If there's another option, it's not needed.
I would say, I would recommend when people are unhappy and maladjusted, and they have a high percentage of people who care about them in their lives who tell them, look, there's something wrong. You need to talk to someone who knows what they're doing. Let's go get you in contact with that person, that they should do that.
Okay, I do have a question for you for the 420. What other option would there be? Like, what other option do you see? Because you say there's another option.
Counseling, psychology, psychiatry, medication.
Well, okay. What if none of those work?
Well, show me that those things haven't worked, and then I may consider religion as an option.
So you want to put people in danger? Is what you're telling me?
I don't believe it's putting them in danger. So
and mind you, I'm an anti-theist as well. Okay, so I'm just more reasonable, it seems.
Which
Sparkle, hold on.
That's fair enough. If you can think that.
Sammy, give me a second. I think the impasse here is Midnight. You might be assuming that what he's saying is cut their religion off, full stop, cold turkey, and put them on this other program. That was not necessarily part of what Sammy said.
Okay, if that isn't the case, I apologize.
That's the impasse, right? Okay,
all right.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I am agreeing that if you did something like that, you would actually do more damage. What I'm saying is that by saying that their religion is needed, the word needed implies must have, which implies there's no other option. And I just don't agree with that. I don't think you need the religion. I get it. There would be very rare cases where that is the case, but
some people feel they need it, though. I'm not saying me personally, but like a little Italian lady who's lived her whole life for Jesus, I mean, what are you going to tell her?
And to be honest, those little old ladies is probably best to leave them with their religion. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I am agreeing.
You know what?
I guess circumstantially, like Richard said.
You know what? I think the other aspect to it as well is the moral aspect of it, the culture aspect of it. Those things are also super important as well, because there's a reason why a lot of people say, hey, if I didn't have this belief, right, or if I wasn't a Muslim, Christian, or whatever, right, I would be this type of person, and I would be doing these things, right? And I think when people say stuff like that, I take them very seriously, right? Mainly because I think when they take those positions, I think it's a situation where these are people who considered other options and other ways of living, and it just didn't work for them. And so they just found something to ground them, maybe morally, spiritually, culturally, and it leads to a more consistent and peaceful existence. Now, I'm not, it's not suggesting that they're living perfect lives by any means, right? But it's good enough to where they weren't turned out to be tyrants in our society, or people who are running around destroying other people's lives, because as far as they're concerned, they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, to anyone they want, if they choose to do so.
Okay, so I'm about to say something very sad. I'm afraid that was the last thing that wasn't wrapping it up. That was it for today. Does anyone want to open a stream and host everyone so that they can keep going with this conversation. Does
You know
anyone
what?
want to do that?
You know what? I'll do it. Let me just set it up really quick, because
Go
why
ahead.
not?
Midnight,
While you're doing that,
midnight,
let's go around the room, starting with Batman, and we're going to work as I see my screen: Midnight Sparkle, Krishna, Wildheart, Sammy. And I want you guys to wrap up your thoughts and shill what you're doing as the zealot that you are on your social media programs. Go ahead, Batman.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
It's a joy.
It's a really good. We always have good conversations. I always learn something new. I'm also, willing to teach. Right now, I don't really have anything.
How
on
much
my
do you charge?
YouTube. I don't have anything on YouTube or social media.
Okay.
However, if I was to push anything, it's the idea to use different concepts, philosophies, and even religions as tools, and aspects of them that are beneficial to our lives. You don't need to adopt the whole thing, just the things that make your life better.
That was beautiful. Sparkle, should I skip you for now and come back?
Well, I literally just created the stream, so you know what I mean. Let me go in studio and
We're
post
gonna
the
skip
link.
you and come back. Go ahead, Krishna.
No matter what religion, faith we follow, the mind either becomes more beautiful or more ugly. We can't serve both masters.
Wildheart.
Midnight, will you let me on your stream, please?
If you behave.
Please.
Show your channel also, please. You don't have to.
That's what I'm doing.
Wildheart again.
Wildheart.
Yeah, just Wildheart again. Search Wildheart again.
Wildheart does a whole lot of open chats and lets a variety of minds in, and also does musical interludes, having a little bit of entertainment during it all.
Yeah.
And it's actually all pretty darn entertaining. I like to drop by there myself. Sammy, remember Sammy? Go ahead.
Yep. Did someone
No, I just wanted to ask.
Just talk over him. Midnight can't help himself, but he's not trying to be rude.
420 Atheist. Not a new channel, but still haven't got a great deal of content. Few little bits and pieces of all varieties. Some musical stuff, some funny stuff. About to drop a collab. I did some vocals on a piece with Tobin Templeman. So keep an eye out for that when it comes out. And I just wanted to say thanks for the chat. I do apologize to everyone. I am just extremely passionate and desperately fighting against my biases. So,
sorry.
No, don't interrupt him. Let him finish.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of all anyone can do, as long as we're all trying to fight our own biases all the time. That's all I can expect from anyone. So,
can we all give Richard a round of applause for his contribution to the community?
Okay, great. All right, great. That was beautiful. Midnight gave me the link in the private. I put it in the public chat.
Yeah,
gentlemen, please feel free to head over there to continue the conversation. And for now, I want to say to everyone who came in, and I want to give special thanks to Tony, to Titan Uranus, for being considerate of someone who was obviously not happy and adjusted well in our actuality. And I totally respect what you did. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for all coming by and having beautiful conversation and being intelligent people that you naturally are, despite the fact that you're all a bunch of zealots. Peace and respect to you all.
Peace and respect.
Good night.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Okay, Richard, would you mind also posting the? Hang on, let me do it. It's the link to the after show, like the.
Midnight, you got me blocked.
No.
Of course he has you blocked. We all have you blocked.
Can you unblock me, please?
Where the hell the blocked people?
You ruined my close, dude.
Sorry.
I was trying to close it. Now I can't because I have to give people time to see the StreamYard link. You guys rattle on. Go ahead. Prattle on. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, Midnight, please unblock them. Please.
Stop, dude. If you don't stop begging, I'm not gonna let you in.
All right, I'm going to the next call.
There, you're unbanned.
Thank you very much, Midnight. Cheers.
All right, you guys kick yourselves. I love you all. Have peace.
Bye.
Well, I'm stuck in the call. I already left the screen.
Richard Vox.
I'll take care of that for you. Don't worry about it. I'll just kick you, okay?
Thank you, brother.
Have peace.